Close skin-to-skin contact occurs, obviously, in an intimate sexual encounter. But close skin-to-skin contact could also occur under other circumstances that have nothing to do with sex. So we haven't seen an amount of that spilling over into the non-men who have sex with men population. And hopefully it'll stay at a very, very low level that you can contain. But you always got to take things like that seriously and keep an open mind that you might see more of that. You don't want to panic people because there's no need to be overly concerned now. But at the same time that you're not currently overly concerned, you should be currently very observant and currently very careful and currently on top of what's going on and following it very carefully.
Earlier today, I spoke with the family of Breonna Taylor. This morning, they were informed that the Justice Department has charged 4 current and former Louisville Metro Police Department officers with federal crimes related to Ms. Taylor's death. Those alleged crimes include civil rights offenses, unlawful conspiracies, unconstitutional use of force, and obstruction offenses. I'm going to begin today by discussing the civil rights offenses that stem from the falsification of a search warrant. We allege that these offenses resulted in Ms. Taylor's death. These charges focus on the conduct of the Louisville Metro Police Department's Place-Based Investigations Unit. In the first indictment filed today, we allege that in early 2020, that unit was investigating suspected drug trafficking in the west end of Louisville. On March 12, 2020, officers from that unit sought 5 search warrants they claimed were related to the suspected drug trafficking. 4 of those warrants targeted properties in the West End where that activity was allegedly occurring. A 5th search warrant was for Breonna Taylor's home, which was approximately 10 miles away from the West End. The federal charges announced today allege that members of the Place-Based Investigations Unit falsified the affidavit used to obtain the search warrant of Ms. Taylor's home, that this act violated federal civil rights laws, and that those violations resulted in Ms. Taylor's death. Specifically, we allege that Ms. Taylor's Fourth Amendment rights were violated when defendants Joshua Janes, Kyle Meany, and Kelly Goodlatte sought a warrant to search Ms. Taylor's home knowing that the officers lacked probable cause for the search. We allege that the defendants knew the affidavit in support of that warrant contained false and misleading information and that it omitted material information. Among other things, the affidavit falsely claimed that officers had verified that the target of the alleged drug trafficking operation had received packages at Ms. Taylor's address. In fact, defendants Janes and Goodlatte knew that was not true. We allege that the defendants knew their actions in falsifying the affidavit could create a dangerous situation, and we allege these unlawful acts resulted in Ms. Taylor's death. The charges announced today also allege that the officers responsible for falsifying the affidavit that led to the search took steps to cover up their unlawful conduct after Ms. Taylor was killed.
I have to work and I can't escape the heat. It shows 36 degrees Celsius here, and when I turn on the oven, it's automatically 40 degrees Celsius. And I have to keep going. One day's fine, but if it's a week, I need to take breaks, otherwise you just can't keep going.
So it's been very difficult, especially because I know Brittney is a great person.
Debbie Jackson is Brittney Griner's former high school basketball coach. She's known the WNBA star for well over a decade and says she was frustrated to hear Thursday's verdict.
It's been sad.
Griner was sentenced to 9 years in a Russian prison after being found guilty of deliberately bringing cannabis-infused vape cartridges into the country.
I love my family.
It's a ruling U.S. President Joe Biden called unacceptable. Jackson says she's upset, but she can't imagine what Griner's family is going through.
And to think that you have a daughter and you can't give them encouragement, try to boost their morale. My heart goes out to the whole Griner family as well as her wife.
She describes Griner as someone who never wanted to be the center of attention and always had a good sense of humor.
She's a very caring person, and I think a lot of that comes from she knows the side of when she has been bullied for her sexual orientation. She's black. She's a woman, very tall stature. You know, she's bullied about her height. And so I think she knows she is a very caring person because she knows how words can hurt because she experienced that.
With the trial over, Jackson hopes talks between the U.S. and Russia will lead to a solution for Griner and other Americans held in Russia.
I hope that now that the sentencing has occurred, the trial is over, no more court, that the negotiations will proceed, and I'm praying that both sides will negotiate in good faith, and that Brittney and other Americans that are in Russian prison can come back home, because every one of our citizens deserves consideration. But she's always in my prayers every night.
The United States continues to have an abiding interest in peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait. We oppose any unilateral efforts to change the status quo, especially by force. We remain committed to our One China policy, guided by our commitments under the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 communiques, and the 6 assurances. And I want to emphasize, nothing has changed about our position. And I hope very much that Beijing will not manufacture a crisis or seek a pretext to increase its aggressive military activity. We in countries around the world believe that escalation serves no one and could have unintended consequences that serve no one's interests, including ASEAN members and including China. We've reached out to engage our PRC counterparts in recent days at every level of government.